All right, it's another week of What the F Happened. Going live here on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube, on Facebook, all for you. We're going to bring you the latest and the greatest. This show's all about ranting, it's about raving, and it's about sometimes arguing about what's in the news and what they're saying and what you're seeing, whether it's true or not. Many of you already know the news. Well, most of it's fake. And I love today what we're going to really hit on is we're going to hit on the new inflation reports all week. Actually, for about the last month, all you've heard about is inflation, 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 the Fed, the Fed, the Fed. Well, today, inflation rises only 0.1%, which is under expectations. So the market's rallying. The market's going up. The market's actually up in futures 156 points. But what we're going to do in today's show is we're going to dissect this inflation number. We're going to tell you why you should not get excited about this, why this is literally smoke and mirrors. This data that's coming out, it's not even real. And if you think that this is good news, well, you have a lot to learn. So we're going to hit that. We're going to talk a lot about China and Taiwan. And are we on the brink of the next world war? We're going to talk about Fed Now and the digital dollar. A new video I just put up on YouTube explains all this. These are some of the topics in the news and some of the topics we're going to bring you live on today's show. This is What the F Happened. We'll be right back after this video. All right, we're back at it. We've got Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube streaming live. It's myself and my partner in crime, Mr. Snaggy, who just got back from a trip out to Colorado and a trip before that to our mastermind in Mexico. How you feeling? Are you tripped out?
Yeah, man. Good morning, kids. Hope everyone had a happy Easter. It was a nice little, breakaway when you're out in a ski town. We were out in Breckenridge for the weekend and hanging out, doing some skiing and some sledding and everything you do when you don't live in Florida. So it was a great time, disconnecting and, get back yesterday evening and this morning and, right back into it. And the world does not stop just because you do for a couple of days. So we're right back into it. A lot going on, a lot to cover today, a lot happening coming up. Important stuff too. Very, very important. I mean, it's crazier than ever what's going on right now. We're going to dig into this inflation report, some other stuff that's happening, and we'll go from there, Chris. But good morning, everybody. Hope everyone had a great Easter.
All right, so let's dive into the inflation report because it's all over the news. We were last year at the peak of inflation. We were almost 9%, and we've come down quite a bit from there. But at what expense have we come down? And how much success have we actually had with fighting inflation? And when I talk about that, you're really talking about the Fed. Okay, because the Fed is in control of monetary policy. They're in control of interest rates. They're in control of money supply, printing, or sucking money back out, which is what they're doing, tightening. So all these things play into inflation. But the one thing that they're really leaning heavy on is interest rates. So all of you have realized the impact of rising interest rates. 7 times they've increased interest rates last year and at some pretty big rates, as much as 75 basis points. This year, they've raised interest rates 1 time, and they probably will do 1 more at 0.25%, so 25 bips. So what does all that mean? Well, that means when you go to buy a house, it costs you a lot more than double what it was about a year and a half ago. When you buy a car, it's way more than double to buy a car when it comes to interest rates. Your credit cards, if you haven't looked lately, all those 0% credit cards, if you already had it, you're coming to the end. But those 0% credit cards, they're gone. Credit cards are now mostly 25 to 29%. If you've got a line of credit, you're probably now 7 to 9%. I heard yesterday about somebody's line of credit, an unsecured business line of credit was 11%. You're seeing all the impact, which means it costs more to do just about everything. I mean, eggs are more, milk is more, plane tickets are more, hotels are more. Everything around the globe has gone up in cost. And it's not really that things have gone up in cost. It's just that our dollars buy less. That's inflation. When they print more money, $5.1 trillion, it devalues the current dollar, creating an inflationary period of time, which we're in right now. But the Fed has been fighting this with raising rates and unwinding their balance sheet, sucking money, literally, proverbially, sucking money out of the central banking system, meaning banks don't want to lend. How many of you, and I just want to ask on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, how many of you have gone to the bank to try to get a mortgage on a property? Have any of you done that recently? I'm talking about rentals or investment properties or even primary houses. A lot of you, right? Yeah. It's a lot harder to get a mortgage, isn't it? It's a lot harder to get funding for your rental, for your real estate. And you know, maybe you don't know the difference because maybe this is your first one. But if it's not, if you were doing this a couple of years ago, money was easy. Getting a mortgage was easy. I mean, I know big real estate investors that are out there trying to get mortgages, and the banks aren't wanting to give them mortgages. It's tightening, folks. It's getting harder to get money from traditional sources. And it's all part of the plan. The Fed doesn't want you to get money easy. The Fed wants to make it hard and expensive for you to use money. Why? Well, because they're trying to tame inflation. Their target rate is 2%. We're nowhere near close to 2%. But today's report would say to some, and the markets would agree, that they're getting some traction. The rate increases, the unwinding of the balance sheet are starting to work. They're starting to bring inflation down. And this newest inflation report is coming out under expectations. So inflation rises 0.1% in March. I want you to all understand something. Inflation rises. Inflation went up. That's not winning the battle of trying to bring inflation down. Inflation went up. Oh, but it was less than expected. Inflation went up. Oh, but it's okay because it was less than expected. Folks, pay attention really closely to what I'm going to say. Do you know why inflation went up less than expected? It's smoke and mirrors. You're being lied to. The news isn't telling you the whole story, but the news is giving you the truth. You just got to understand what you're looking at. If you look at the headline, it's not even real. Okay? Inflation went up, but it less than expected. And because of that, the markets in futures are up over 100 points. Stephen, what do you think about this?
I got a perfect little meme to kind of sum up what you're saying right now. Just give you an idea. So it says CPI, Consumer Price Index, came in lower than expected. So our magical internet coins pump because that means there's a higher likelihood that the Fed will ease monetary conditions sooner, which debases the currency and causes inflation. But in the short term, that doesn't matter. Got it?
I hope all of you understood that. But here's why inflation went up less than expected. If you look in the numbers and you understand what's actually going on here, I'm going to read it right out of the report. A 3.5% drop in energy costs and an unchanged food index helped keep headline inflation in check. Hold on a second. Now, I know I live in Buffalo, New York. It's pretty cold here. We get a lot of snow, but you know, we're in April. This is spring. And you know what happens in spring? Yeah, the sun comes out. It's a little bit warmer. We don't need the big, heavy, puffy jackets anymore. You know what? If you live in Arizona, guess what? It's getting warmer there too. And if you live in Florida, yep, you guys are getting a little warmer. Actually, you guys are never not warm there. But across the country, it's warm because it's springtime. And what happens when we enter springtime? We use less gas. Our furnaces go on a lot less. We don't need to heat our houses as much because it's actually warm outside. Not only that, daylight savings. It stays light later. So now it's late past 8 o'clock here in Buffalo. In other parts of the country, except for like Arizona, because they don't play part of this whole daylight savings, it's light a lot longer. So what does that mean? Well, it means we use less electric. So no kidding. The energy costs went down. We're not using as much energy. You think that's any different than last year, the year before, 10 years ago, 20 years ago? It's always the same. But yet they want to massage this to make you think, oh, it's all good. Everything's good. Look over here. Come on, over here. Look over here. Don't pay attention to what's really going on. Look over here. Yeah, it's funny how everything that hits the headlines that's important all of a sudden disappears. Like, how about the fact that China is doing military drills very close to Taiwan's border? And it's no secret, folks, that China has been talking about invading Taiwan. Of course they want Taiwan. But who is Taiwan in bed with? That's right, the United States of America. Who does China not like right now? The United States of America. Who else doesn't like the United States of America? Well, probably Russia, because we sanctioned the hell out of them when they attacked Ukraine. We told them, hey, you can't, we're not going to buy your oil anymore. So what did Russia do? Russia went out and said, okay, you idiots don't want to buy our oil? No problem. We're a leading oil producer. We're going to go to China. We're going to go to India. We're going to offer them oil cheaper. And now what's actually happened is Russia is selling oil to India. India is blending that oil with their own supply and then selling it back to the US and selling it back to Europe, who are supposed to be sanctioned not buying Russia oil. But we're still getting Russia oil. It's just not, the barrel doesn't say Russia, it says India, or it says Saudi Arabia, or it says somewhere else that we can buy oil. It doesn't say, oh, we're not buying Russian oil, but it's the same thing because it's blended. It's still Russian oil that we're getting. You see, this is all just a big game. It's a big game that we're right in the middle of. And as citizens, most of them don't even understand what the hell's going on here. I just did a post, Stephen. We've been making some great YouTube videos. So folks, if any of you want to understand some of this stuff really deeply, go to my YouTube channel at The Chris Naugle and watch my videos. I just put a new video up called Digital Currency for America. Now, yeah, here it is. Now, go to videos, Stephen. Just click on videos. Yep. And it'll be the first one. There it is. But here's the thing. I'm going to pause this. I just want to read a couple things because I want to show you how I just want to show you how people have no clue what the hell's going on. They've got everything backwards because they're actually listening to the news and the news is lying to them. So all I want to do is I want to read you a couple of comments that came in. So already this video is at about 1.3 thousand views, which I'm psyched about. A lot of people watching it. But let me just read some of these things right now. Okay. Andre right here on YouTube said, what are they waiting for? We need a digital currency now. I would love to be I would love to be in a time without fiat. Okay, hold on a second. Andre, I did comment back. So if you want to read my comment, you can. We'll get to the yuan. So some of you are talking about the yuan or the yuan. I actually looked up the pronunciation of that. So Andre right here says they can't wait for the digital currency because they want the time of the fiat dollar to end. They think the digital dollar is going to change fiat dollar. The digital dollar and the paper dollar today, this thing, they're both fiat. They're both fiat. They're based on just the full faith and credit of the United States of America. To get off of the fiat dollar, what this person's talking about, we need to peg the dollar to gold or to some other tangible asset. Right now, this is the petrodollar because it's what oil is valued in, at least as of today. So that person has no freaking clue. They don't want a digital dollar. They don't even understand what the digital dollar means. The digital dollar gives all the control to the government. So when the government doesn't want you traveling to anywhere, they just say you can't buy the ticket. When the government says, hey, you're too fat and we don't want you eating this kind of food, they'll just limit that. That's probably not going to happen. But I'm just saying they would have the control. Matter of fact, the digital dollar will be great. And now let me get to another thing here. Let's see. One person said, imagine all the billionaires who have to pay their fair share. Fuck you, because billionaires do pay their fair share. You know who doesn't pay their fair share? Politicians. Because politicians who make $100,000 to maybe $200,000, how come their net worth increases by hundreds of millions of dollars during their term? Anyone doing the math? Okay, they make $200,000, but yet their net worth went up $60 million that year. You think there's something wrong there? Of course there is. That's where the problem is, the politicians. But the politicians want to then say the problem is all the billionaires, the Elon Musks of the world. They pay their fair share. Warren Buffett pays his fair share. You see, in the tax code, the IRS specifically says you should only pay your fair share. But what is your fair share? Your fair share is whatever you figure out your fair share is. And that basically has to fall within the IRS code. And if you understand the IRS code, you'll understand how to pay your fair share. And your fair share doesn't have to mean you have to pay more. Warren Buffett's tax rate is less than his assistant's. Why? Yeah, because he pays his fair share. He does nothing illegal. Trump did nothing illegal in his tax returns. They understand the tax code because they have good CPAs and teams of CPAs that know the tax code and know how to play it using trusts and foundations. Look at the Gates Foundation. Look at the Clinton Foundation. Oh my gosh, Wake up, people. The billionaires pay their fair share. They just understand the tax law. I don't care if people want to hate on this. I'm getting some of the feedback coming in over here on TikTok. Of course, the haters are going to come out. Here's another one. Just Wallace on here says, if America cuts its military spending, you could do better. Wow, great, perfect. Great time to cut military spending, right? Let's cut the military spending. Why? Oh, let's do more social programs. Let's just do more social programs and cut the military spending so that when China actually does attack us, which who knows if it's going to happen. I hope to God it doesn't. But let's say they do. It's probably best that we cut our military spending so that China can get ahead of us on that, right? Oh, wonderful idea. Hold on, it just gets even better. Let's see, a couple good ones. One person said, his name's, I don't know, his or her, 1/3 of the world's money is in cash, 2/3 is not. So what he's basically referring to is a lot of people are saying, oh, the US dollar is going to collapse. The US dollar is going to collapse. Saudis and Russians and China and India are all getting together with the BRICS and they're all basically saying we're going to buy oil using different currency. We're going to use the yuan and we're going to basically do it. The yuan is pegged to the dollar, folks. 60% of all transactions in the world use the US dollar. 60%. So you're just going to tell me, oh, this is just going to collapse and go to zero? Oh, how? It couldn't happen. How? When the yuan, I'm trying to say it right, is connected and pegged to the dollar. They'd have to unconnect it to the dollar. But right now, the People's Bank of China is who values the yuan. It's not even valued the same way the dollar is on a global scale. It's valued by whatever they decide they want to value it at. How can you do a currency and use that currency as the world reserve currency when it's not even pegged it's not pegged to gold? Okay, so it's still a fiat currency. It's not a very strong fiat currency, and it's not even valued the proper way like the US dollar is. Oh, gosh, should I keep going? Let's see. The American government needs to tax the rich. Oh, here we go again. Tax the rich and make them pay their fair share. I'm sure they're paying their fair share. The politicians are the ones you should actually be figuring out how they should pay their fair share. Make cuts to military spending. Oh, great idea. Let's cut military spending. Create laws and opportunities for Americans to buy property. Last time I checked, there's all sorts of grants, all sorts of government programs to help people buy homes in the United States of America. There's all sorts of programs. My God, most people can buy a home, their first home, even if they're like lower income, they can get programs and buy a home with no money out of pocket. There's programs out there, but yet we should create laws that give opportunities to Americans. You know what that is? Entitlement. Get over yourself. This isn't an entitlement country. And if you want one of those, go somewhere where everything's handed to you and you have no freedom. We live in the United States of America because this is the land of the free, the greatest country on earth, and the one country you better start to respect and understand. And these comments do not tell me that the American people respect what we have here. So if you don't like it, if you don't like the US dollar, move. Go to China. If you don't like the freedoms we have and you think we should cut our military so we don't have freedom when we get taken over, go to China. Get out of here. Nobody wants you here. I don't want you here. Sorry, I'm on a rant today. This shit pisses me off. Anyway, let's see what kind of crazy comments we've got here coming in from TikTok. Stephen, you got anything you want to comment on that? Because I just laid into it.
No, I love it, man. That's good. That's good stuff.
Yeah, China is full of debt. You're darn right they are. They got more debt than we do. Let's see. But neither one of them are any good. So there's a comment here and it said they have indicated that they will back it with gold. So I'm not sure what that person, M Hustler 1, is talking about. Russia, okay, when we basically sanctioned them, they did say that they were going to start backing their currency with gold. And there's no secret that China has been buying up as much gold as they can get, as much as they can get. Now, obviously, is that down the line so they could back the yuan with gold? Possibly. But do you think the U.S. isn't thinking this too? The number one job of the Fed, let me be clear about this. The number one job of the Fed is to protect the dollar at all costs. That means war, that means death, that means at all costs. They will protect the dollar. Now, that isn't a good thing. I'm not saying that's a positive thing at all, but I just want to make it very clear that that's their number one job. They're not going to just let the dollar collapse. They're not going to just let the dollar go away. They're going to protect it. And unfortunately, I don't think I like the sound of what that will mean.
Yeah, the one thing, Chris, I'll add real fast. You know, you're talking a lot about the tax laws and taking advantage of them and using them for our benefit to keep more of our hard-earned money. And just what's going on right now with inflation and the looming recession, and all the numbers are pointing that way, even though nobody's admitting and all that stuff. I mean, and so right now it's more important than ever. So I just wanted to mention we do have our first ever private money club Money Tank, which is a 2-day workshop. It's coming up in just a couple weeks, and the amount of experts that are going to be there that are talking about this exact thing are off the charts. So I just wanted to mention, if you haven't got a ticket yet for the PMC Money Tank in Salt Lake City, April 28th and 29th, I'm going to scroll it across the bottom of the screen, because you should head over to privatemoneyclub.com/money tank and check it out. It's going to be an awesome event. And I think this is the last week. I don't know if we're still doing it, but I think we can still get 50% off a ticket if you want to join us. So just use the code PMC50 over at privatemoneyclub.com/money tank. And we'll see you guys in Salt Lake City. It's going to be awesome. I know, Chris, you're looking forward to that event.
I very much am. And I'm also looking forward to the day where TikTok doesn't exist anymore in this country. But anyway, let me just tell you why, because people, some of the people on TikTok, I love some of my TikTok followers, but some of them are just so off the rails. It makes me sick. Some of the people watching my live, like they're watching my live saying that this guy is annoying, meaning me. I'm annoying. Well, then why are you on my channel? Like, why are you watching my live? Go somewhere else. Go to China. You belong in China. And then other people, I got another one here. Ward SAS, Ward Asylum. Do I even need to say any more? Ward Asylum. But anyway, they say Dave Ramsey says housing prices are going up over the next 5 years. Newsflash, housing prices are going down. It's already happening. San Francisco down over 10% already. Across the country, housing will go down. It's not a supply and demand thing, folks. It's a cost. People can't afford housing. Therefore, housing prices have to come down so the average person can buy a house. It's normal economics. You should have paid attention in school. Sorry about that. But
Dave also, Ramsey, Chris, if they like Dave Ramsey, you should really check out this awesome dude. His name is Jim Cramer. You should definitely listen to everything he says too.
Exactly. Yeah, Jim Cramer and Dave Ramsey. Yeah, they're both always right, right? I think they both get it
They're going to
wrong.
make you really successful, I promise.
Let's see. Oh, yeah, right here. I love this one. This is a really good comment on TikTok. So Gary Puck I8 or Pussy I8 or something. We need to get people to want to work before they can buy a house. Novel idea, right? You're like, let's go back to the golden age of the United States of America, which would be the 50s. Back in the 50s, like the American families, like the men or the women, like they worked really hard and they saved up money and then they bought a house. Did anyone see a problem in that? They worked really hard. It was the golden age of this country. It was one of the greatest eras the United States of America has seen. They worked hard. They brought home a paycheck. They saved. And when they saved up enough money, they bought a house. Anyone see a problem with that? Stephen, any problem with that? Yeah, most people are logically like, what's the point? What's he getting to? Well, that's exactly what Gary's saying here. Like, it's a novel idea that we actually should save money so that we can actually buy a house. But some of these people on TikTok are like, oh, the government should just pass laws and give us a house. Right. Yeah, that's exactly what they should do. Get rid of Brandon. There's a lot of money unaccounted for in the military. Yeah, listen, anything that the government, so this person's saying there's a lot of money unaccounted for in the military and it leads toward waste. The government is all about waste. The government wastes so much money. The military wastes money. Every government thing wastes money. But it wasn't so much about whether or not the government is efficient with money. Also, right, so if the government is so good with money, why would you want the government to tax people more? If they're so good at it, we should just give them more money, right? So because they're so good at managing our money. Folks, listen up really closely. And I don't care whether you like me or not for saying this. You all better really, really get clear with yourselves about who should be in control of your money. I'm not talking about my money. I'm talking about your money. Stop worrying about other people's money. Stop worrying about the billionaires paying their fair share. Why don't you start worrying about your own house? Why don't you start worrying about your own finances? Why don't you start taking control of your own household money? Okay? Instead of worrying about what everybody else is doing and blaming this and blaming that, we've come down to a society where all we do is bitch and complain. Why don't you start taking control of your money and doing something that actually puts you in a better place? Why don't you actually go get a job? Why don't you actually work a second job? Why don't you actually pay off your debts? Why don't you actually do something productive that moves the productivity line in this country instead of sitting there thinking that everything should be handed to you? My cat is the only one that should get everything handed to him because, well, he's spoiled. But you don't have to be spoiled, and you shouldn't live in this country just because everything's handed to you. But that's where we've gone. That's the biggest problem. The issue is people want a handout. That's what I was just saying, Daniel. Duh. He said, agreed. The issue is people just want a handout, and they don't seem to understand that their taxes will get huge. Listen, I love when people tell me or Stephen or anyone on my team, oh, they're not going to tax people that make less than $400,000. You're the ones getting taxed the most. Matter of fact, you make less than $400,000 and you're believing, get down. If you believe that you're not going to have your taxes go up, have you gone to the grocery store? Have you pumped gas? Have you bought a new car? Have you bought anything? You notice how it seemed like the price went way up? That's a tax, folks. It's a hidden tax called inflation. So you don't think you're being taxed? Matter of fact, you're the one getting hit the hardest. You're the one getting hit the hardest. But yet they told you, oh, we're not going to increase your tax rates. Sure they are. Your taxes are going up. Matter of fact, going up right now, and they're going to continue to go up. But make sure you vote for them. Oh, yeah, make sure you put your votes in for them because, oh, they're not going to raise your taxes. Nope, they're just going to make everything around you so expensive you can't afford anything. So you're going to need their digital dollar, and they're going to control you. Anyway, should we get on to something else in the news?
Yeah. Just to wrap up the inflation part, some of the leading drivers year over year. Remember, this is the second year of pretty hot inflation going here. So when you look at the charts, it's pretty wild. But just year over year, what was driving it this month? Transportation was up 13.9%, electricity up 10.2%, and food away from home was 8.8%. Those were some of the drivers. Some of the biggest decreases year over year. Gasoline is down 17%, energy commodities down 17%, and fuel oil down 14%, which you kind of already hit on why those are down. We're getting into springtime, less use, all that good stuff. Gasoline's been sky high, so coming down a little bit. But the stuff that really matters, I mean, food, electricity, transportation, I mean, just booking plane tickets for these events. I mean, prices right now are so hot right now. It's wild to see. So we'll keep an eye on that and what happens. You know, a lot of people right now talking, hey, because it's less than expectations, like you're saying, Chris, you know, the Fed might actually do some rate cuts later this year now. But what we forget is inflation target is 2%. We're still at 5%. That's 2.5 times where we want to be. So just because it's expectations, don't fall for this trap. I can't say it enough, Chris. I know you open up with it, but if anybody joined us late, this is a trap right now. Just be very, very careful. The Dow is up 122 points right now on that inflation news. Just be careful, Chris. Be careful.
Yep, I hear you. I'm just looking through some of these comments coming in. We did have some good comments come over here on Instagram, but I do definitely want to move on to another topic outside of inflation. Let's see. Pentagon can't pass audits. Yeah, no kidding. What do you think about crypto? Actually, perfect. It's kind of funny. Like who just said that? Correlationism on Instagram just mentioned crypto. So it's funny. We haven't really had many people talking about crypto lately, but yet crypto is, you know, Bitcoin it specifically is over $30,000. If you all remember, not too long ago, it was at 14,000 and now it's over 30. And I remember at 14, Stephen and I were talking about, wow, that's actually a pretty good price to buy it at. And we did buy it. Now, just last night, and I don't spend much time on crypto, but I'm on my phone. I went to Coinbase where I buy, and I buy every single week. I buy a little Bitcoin, a little Ethereum, $200 each every week. And I looked at it and I'm like, hey, over 30,000. I pulled the chart up. Not hard to see. We're at a pretty strong support line. And I'm like, okay, well, let's sell the crypto. So I just clicked the button and I sold both of them because I took my profits. Now, some people would be like, oh my God, I can't believe you sold. It's going to the moon. Because right now at 30,000, this is where people probably start buying crypto. But you see, if you just know how to read this chart, and let me just show TikTok this. If you just know how to read this chart, what you will see is chances are we're going to go one of two places. We're going to either go up or we're going to go down. Okay, because I can't really draw the line, but we're definitely, if you go back to the other one, yeah, this one's probably the best one. No, go back to the 1 year or 2 year, doesn't matter. I can't really hold this and do it, but I'm going to try, folks. So let's see. Hopefully I got you in here. But if you just look, here's where we're at, okay? And if you follow this straight over, you find that this is a really strong line right here. And you can see it's supported back here as well. So if I were to just draw a straight line, sorry, my finger's not going straight, but you can see how strong of a line that is. And why is it a strong line? Because we had all these touch points here. We had all these touch points here. We could even argue that was close, and we're there again here. So right now we're breaking out. You can see by the little squiggle here, we're breaking out, moving higher, and that will either continue, but you can see it's probably not going to. So why did I sell my crypto? Well, because I'm a opportunist and because I buy low and I sell high. And that's just what I do, because that's what Warren Buffett said to do. Buy low, sell high, and you don't lose money. I never shoot for big home runs, because usually you're not going to hit the home runs, because I don't chase greed. I'm real. Okay. So you got to be realistic with your returns. So right now, Bitcoin at 30,000, it's at that strong level. Now, could it go higher? Yes. But for it to go higher, the stock market would have to go higher. And if any of you follow me or watch any of my stuff, you'll realize, like, I absolutely wholeheartedly will tell you the stock market's not going to go higher. The stock market is actually going to go lower, and it's going to go lower very quickly. We're just waiting for that one breaking thing. Now, is it going to be China invading Taiwan? That would certainly do it. What is the domino that's going to take it down? I can't believe the markets are up as high as they are. It's actually smoke and mirrors. But it's not the first time this has happened. So, hey, nothing surprises me here. So crypto, now let me look at a macro, a broad scale look at crypto. I think crypto will test the lows. I think you'll see crypto will trend the markets, okay, just like it has. It's correlated to the stock market. So when the stock market goes down, crypto will follow. We'll go from 30 and you'll probably go back down to 14. I think it could go down to as low as 7 or 8. But, that would be a very pessimistic thing. So, but if it did, I'd be buying it. I won't buy at 30,000, because you're at a level right now where your chances of it going down versus going up are very high. Because to go up, what you'd have to have happen is the stock market continuing to go up. And if any of you actually believe the stock market's going to continue to go up and everything is good and we're not going to go into a recession, you're delusional. That's all you are. That's it. Like, go get some pills, get checked out at your doctor. You got something going on, because the markets aren't going to go up. And that was probably, Stephen usually would correct me there and be like, Chris didn't really mean that. He's just saying that. I don't really mean that to any, to be mean, but like, maybe you are delusional. I don't know. I don't know you. But the markets are going to go down. And when they go down, crypto will go down with it. So the next time crypto goes down, though, when it tests those new lows of 14, 7, 8,000, whatever they are, when it gets there, chances of it then rebounding when the stock market goes down, it will bottom out in this recession in, let's just say, late 2023 or 2024. Okay. I'm sorry, 2024. We're already in 2023. Get my year straight. But late 2024, the markets might start to kind of come out of this, because we will have gone down a lot more. And when that happens, crypto will climb the markets back up. And it'll be a great time to have bought crypto when it's low and ride it up and sell it when it's high. But too many people right now, because the news will start talking about it, will start buying crypto now. Stephen and me and anyone on my team and Spencer Montgomery, we were buying it when it was around 14, 15, 16, 17. I dollar cost average in. But 30,000 is a hell of a profit. So if any of you bought between 14 and 20,000, which would have been a good range to buy, you just literally had a huge profit day if you took your profits off the table. And I don't know why you wouldn't. Oh, I don't want to pay taxes. Okay, great. Then just wait for crypto to go back down and sell it when it's low, and you'll have a loss. You can just write that off. Oh, tax the rich. Yeah, right. You can now, get the tax deduction the same way the rich do it, or the wealthy do it. But I think that's what I would say about crypto. Stephen, what's your take on crypto right now? I know you have sometimes a different opinion on how it is.
No, it's it's the first time that I've seen crypto kind of be used against what's going on in the general economy. Meaning, this run on Bitcoin specifically really started when the bank collapses started happening. So when Silicon Valley Bank and first the New York Bank, when they crashed and collapsed and got bailed out or whatever happened, that's really when Bitcoin started running. And so that's good to me. I mean, because that's kind of the idea of Bitcoin, is when other things either fail or aren't efficient any longer, things like that. That's where the whole crypto space comes in. So it was kind of cool to see that. But what I don't like is that the stock market in general, money markets all boomed also when that bank collapse happened. So that makes zero sense at all to me. So it still seems to be very tied to the overall market. So like you're saying, when we see this thing come down, I could still see crypto coming. I don't think we're going to see crypto really go to the moon, like people say, or really see those Bitcoin numbers over 6 figures, like a lot of people are wanting, until it disconnects from the overall markets. And I don't know what it takes to get there, but that's just my opinion on it. In Mexico, one of the great things I love about the masterminds that we do is you always meet so many new people that you would never expect to be experts in a field. And there was a guy there that was the first time we had ever met him. He actually came through his sister, who's a big follower of ours, Michelle, but a guy, Ian, and Ian was talking knows a lot about crypto and different uses. And it's interesting to hear different perspectives, because a lot of what drives crypto is purely opinion. I mean, hey, I think that this is a good idea, or I think that there's a good use case for crypto in the future. So let me buy. Like there's not an actual use for it right now. So a lot of it's just, what do you call it? What I'm talking about, Chris, right? Where you just kind of, let's hope that this goes up in value. There's not a lot backing it, but when you hear people's opinions of what they think, it's like, okay, well, I can see why people are buying it. So it's just an interesting space. But like you said, just have a strategy and stick with it. I mean, if it's buying when you see it dropping and you're watching the lines, and selling when it doubles or goes up to 30, like you had your sell point, Chris, it hit it, you sold, and now you're out again until it comes back down. So having that strategy is great. But yeah, it's crypto. It's a wild one for me, man. It's hard.
Yeah, and I'm going to go over to YouTube and just hit some of these questions. Citizen for Defense. Yeah, actually, that did hit on me. That guy's name is, I'm not going to say it, but I8. Yeah, that was pretty funny. Lynn Green said, isn't Newsom trying to give people who don't work a house for $1? As a matter of fact, Newsom is trying to do that. So for anybody that wants a house for $1, just move to California. And I had just heard the other day, I don't know how much truth there is to this, that Newsom might actually run for president. I don't think that would be, they were saying that Biden's not going to run again and that Newsom might run. I can't think of anyone worse to run for president than Newsom. Literally, I think he's way worse than Biden. And not that Biden's done a great job of any caliber, but Newsom would probably be the worst possible thing. And that would only make sense that from the Democratic Party, that they would they would nominate Newsom to run. And well, who knows, with cheating and a little bit of money from the media and China, and well, anyway, I'm done going there, but you get the drift. So another thing somebody had said, let's see, Dr. Bruce Parsons said a house for $1. Who could possibly think that is workable? I don't know. Ask Newsom, ask California, because that's legitimate. Like I had a whole article that I was going to do a YouTube video, but because it was so controversial, I decided not to. I try not to get super controversial on my YouTube channel. I'll say whatever I want on WTF because we just erase these, and all the jokers here over on TikTok. Matter of fact, let me go to one. This is I just want to clarify for my smart folks over here on YouTube. It seems like the YouTube folks are far better educated and far more knowledge than some of the folks over on TikTok. So let me just give you this one from TikTok just to prove my point. Okay, so this is from AFLETCH. This person said, I'm so glad China is rocking the USA. Now, I understand TikTok's like it's a worldwide platform. Now, I'm going to guess that this person's probably from China. But if this person's from the United States, do any of you want me to get this person's address so you guys can all pay him a visit or her a visit? Yeah. Hey, AFLETCH, can you DM me your home address, please? Thank you. All right, moving on. Let's see. Stock market skyrocketed. Stock. Oh, this is another one. This is hilarious. Same person. Stock market skyrockets thanks to Biden.
We finally got the troll farms on the channel, Chris.
Stephen, would you please pull up a chart of the S&P 500? So this person, actually, don't even waste anyone's time with that. It's just not even worth it. I'm trying to make a point here. I'm just cherry picking some of the fun comments. Let's see, ride a bike, sleep, cardboard box. Let's see. That person came back and said, I'm awake, you're sleeping. I actually probably could use some sleep, but I'm definitely awake right now. I have no idea where that comes from. So it just keeps getting better. Let's see here. Someone had mentioned, that I'm stupid on TikTok. I can't find it. And they said, go to my LinkedIn, which is the platform I use the least, and look at his teachings. And they said something like it's all garbage. Actually, my LinkedIn isn't terrible, but I don't really put much up on there. Most of my stuff goes on Instagram and Facebook and mostly YouTube. So that person decided for some reason to check me out on LinkedIn. But yeah, great, great. They are Americans getting severely triggered by China. I would agree by that. Okay, so that's that same person saying they are Americans getting severely triggered by China. Yeah, well, of course. Look up the, oh yeah, right here. Look up his LinkedIn. This guy has terrible education. Yeah. That's a good one. I know I froze here. So Stephen, I'm going to kind of keep talking, but I'm going to get unfrozen. I don't know. My computer always has issues like this, but that was a good face. I should have just left it up like that. There we go. All right. Unfrozen again. But let's see. What else do we got? China depends 100% on American software. They have no programmers. The population is too many men. Well, I don't know about the software, but I will tell you definitely in China and Japan, their population is predominantly men. I believe, if I'm correct, which is why they have a population problem. They don't have enough people to support the growth that they need. But the United States isn't that much better off on that. Another person said, did you sell all of your crypto or just take profits? Let me just repeat that. Did you sell your crypto or just take profits? Stephen, can you just comment on that one? Because I don't think I can in a nice way. Did you sell your crypto or did you just take profits?
Well, I think they mean, did you sell everything?
How do you take profits? I think
they mean like, did you sell everything or just?
Oh, maybe they do. Yeah, that's true. That's true. But yeah, in order to take profits, you do have to sell. So you sell your position. Like I sold Bitcoin and Ethereum. I sold those, and therefore I took my profits, and therefore I'll have to pay my fair share of taxes. Just in case anybody's paying attention over on TikTok, I'll pay my fair share, and my fair share will be less than what you pay in taxes because I understand the tax code, but we won't even get into that. Not surprised. I watch so much, I laugh. But yeah, and it just keeps coming in. It's funny. Probably didn't leave in your wallet or cash out. Oh, geez, dude, you know what they mean. I know. I'm being a jerk, Twinkie. I'm just kind of hitting on it a little bit hard. All right, so what else can we hit on? There's not too much else in the news outside of Warren Buffett came on and went public saying we're not through with bank. Oh, this is brand new. Actually, this just hit. We're not through with bank failures. You don't say. So he said, we're not over bank failures, but depositors haven't had a crisis. So essentially what he's saying is depositors haven't really had a crisis because the government and the Fed backed them up and came in and supported all the money that people had in Silicon Valley Bank or Signature or any of those other ones. And he then goes on to say that the collapse of Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank last month, the second and third largest bank failures in U.S. history, prompted extraordinary rescue actions from regulators who backstopped all deposits in the failed lenders and provided additional funding facilities for troubled banks. The Oracle of Omaha said some of the dumb things that banks do periodically become uncovered during this period, including having mismatched assets and liabilities, as well as questionable accounting. Yep. So essentially what he's saying is we've only seen the surface of the bank failures. And I would 100% agree with that. I think we're going to see a lot more bank failures, but I think the government's going to try to suppress that. And the Fed is going to try to just backstop it with what they did. But folks, all you should really know is all the banks are doing, when you look at, JP Morgan Chase and what they did with UBS, all they're doing is they're in control of your money. Okay. They're in control of your money. When UBS or when JP Morgan took a stake in UBS, all they did is moved your deposits over to the failing bank, UBS's bank, and that gave them the money to support the run on the banks or anything else that they needed. It was your money, not the bank's money. It wasn't Jamie Dimon's money. It was your money because you gave up control. So again, to fortify what we teach every single day, because I guess my education sucks according to the person that went to my LinkedIn. But the number one thing I know doesn't suck is what we teach you about how important it is right now to take back control of your money. And not only how important it is to take back control of your money in these unprecedented times, which really they are now pretty unprecedented. So take back control of your money by learning how to become your own bank. Stephen, how can they learn how to become their own bank? I think we got
Yeah, I mean, join us at 1 o'clock today, 1 o'clock Eastern, for the Wealth Webinar series. And the last couple of weeks on Wealth Webinar, we've kind of gotten into the basics of becoming the bank and the infinite banking concept. And so today at 1 p.m. Eastern, we're going to really dig in deep on that topic and get into a little bit more advanced strategies on moving money and what that looks like and how to do banking in this world of increasing interest rates. And as these rates, as you mentioned earlier, Chris, some of these business unsecured lines of credit are hitting 11, 12%. I'm seeing a lot of HELOCs in the 9 to 10% range right now. And so as these rates increase, what are we doing as bankers ourselves to deal with that and handle that, to keep our money moving, continue to make the spreads and make the profits that IBC is all about? So at 1 p.m. Eastern today on the Wealth Webinar series, we're going to get into that. You can just go right over to chrisnoggle.com, scroll down the page, like one scroll, and you'll see Wealth Webinar series. Just click on register. It's a free webinar we do every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern. And we're going to get into that good today, Chris, I think. So
we're gonna hit it good, really good. A couple other things. One person said, and he's not, this person's on a lot. Be the GOAT. Always has really good comments on TikTok. One of the few that actually has great feedback and everything. He said, Biden said the taxpayers, it was actually Yellen who said it, but Yellen, Biden, same difference, said the taxpayers won't bail out those. Let's see. Biden said the taxpayers won't bail those three banks out. He's right. So Yellen came on and said that the taxpayers will not be the ones bailing the banks out. But at the end of the day, it's the depositors that are going to bail out the banks, which are the taxpayers. Because what they're going to do is, although the taxpayers are not going to bail the banks out in a roundabout way, okay, in a direct way, they're not going to, but really the taxpayers, the depositors who are giving up control of money to the banks, will bail those banks out. Because all they're going to do, okay, the regulators and Yellen and Biden and the government, they're just going to increase the insurances that banks have to protect against things like this. Because if you missed that one, we did talk a little bit about the FDIC, and the FDIC has you guys all look this up. Okay, go to FDIC.gov. The FDIC has $128 billion. That's how much money they have right now to protect 16.9 trillion of depositors' money. Did you hear that? 128 billion is how much FDIC has to protect 16.9 trillion. It's probably a little less now because of the runs on the bank. I just want you to think about that. Okay. So when you think the FDIC and the government is all there to back you up, like, you better run the math, because that's a pretty tough thing. But then they come on and say, but the Fed has the ability to print infinite amounts of money or protect the banks with an infinite amount of money. And that is true. I guess in a retrospect, I don't know how infinite it is, but they can print as much money as they want. And every time they print money, just remember, every time the printing press goes on, you create inflation, because you are devaluing the current purchasing power of our fiat greenbacks. Or in the future, you're devaluing what will be the CBDC, the digital currency they're going to come up with. So you just got to really kind of take all things, and understand how they work. And then another person, Smushy Lip. Interesting. Smushy Lip said, what are you saying is the banks do mischievous, corrupt crap and get away with it scot-free? Essentially, yes, because not the taxpayers, but the taxpayers are going to bail them out.
Well, it's the same as saying inflation's not a tax. I mean, of course it is. Like, saying that the taxpayer's not going to bail out the banks just because the banks are the ones that fund this emergency fund, so to say. I mean, what's the difference? How do you think the banks make money off of you? So if the banks need to make more money to put more money into this fund, what are they going to do? They're going to charge you more interest. They're going to pay you less in your savings accounts and things like that. They're going to make a bigger spread so they can put more money in. It's just a play with the words. At the end of the day, though, money kind of it's magically printed, but let's just pretend it's not. Money does come from somewhere. And it's like when they say, well, the government's going to handle it. Well, where do you think the government gets the money? From us? They don't just, well, again, but you get the point, right? So it's crazy that somebody would think that, but
So today on the wealth webinar at 1 p.m. Eastern time, you guys can all register for free at chrisnoggle.com. You'll even get my 3 books for free. But if you join us, we're going to be going deep into how you can be your own bank, how you can take back control. But we're also going to do some math lessons. It's not going to be like math class, in your elementary school, but it's literally going to show you the math that you think you understand, you don't understand. And we're going to show you the difference between simple and compound interest and how it works. Because a lot of people with the dollar and everything else, they're all starting to come up with these crazy questions. We're going to address them all today, all pertaining to how you can be your own bank. But I do, Stephen, want to finish up this what the F happened with a really, really good topic that is near and dear to my heart. And I get probably recently more hate because of my viewpoint on this one topic than anything else. And any of you that follow me on Instagram, I did a great video. And the video was, I think, titled, Why I Drive a Gas Guzzling V8. Did you see that one, Stephen?
No.
Why I Drive a Gas Guzzling V8. I don't know if you can pull up my Instagram, but it's not a hard one to find. It went viral. Okay. It got, I don't know how many views it's at now, but it got a lot of views and it got thousands of comments. And out of the thousands of comments I got on this post, and really the post, it's a short little video, and all it does is talks about how I drive a bi-turbo V8, and I love, the fact that I get 8 miles to the gallon because I've got freedom, and they can't shut my vehicle off, and I don't have to worry about stopping at the charging station and taking a half hour and blah blah blah. And I just go through it, but I do give Elon credit for Tesla. I love Teslas. I think they're literally a marvel of technology. I think they're just pieces of art, but I'll never own one. So that video got a lot of haters, and it just sparked me to talk about that video and the hate, because in the news today is, says the EPA proposes auto pollution limits to aggressively boost electric vehicle sales. Okay. Going into the key points of this article, and it's got a picture of Biden driving the EV Hummer. It says the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency proposed a new tailpipe emissions limit that could require as much as 67% of all new vehicles sold in the U.S. by 2032 to be all electric. Okay. Just read between the lines, folks. What agenda are they pushing? What agenda are they pushing? What agenda are they pushing? And why? Why? Anyway, why? Why don't you just look at how a senator comes in making $120 or $200,000, but yet their net worth grows by 120 some million? Or why don't you just look at Pelosi? That one tells the story. Or Schumer. Like, you wonder where the problems are. You don't have to look any further than that. And I'm not just talking about Democrats. I'm talking about Republicans too. Like, all the Republicans that are in Congress or Senate, like same problem. It's a problem. But anyway, it goes on to say that EV sales accounted for only 5.8% of all the 13.8 million new vehicles sold in this country last year. And that increase from 3.1% the year before. So they're making headway, right? They're pushing the EVs. Okay. GM and Ford and all the car manufacturers, not all, but most, are going to this EV model. Some are going all in like GM, but that makes all the sense in the world. GM's biggest partner is the U.S. government. So if the U.S. government wants to go EV, well, guess who needs to go EV? GM, because they're owned 61% by the U.S. government. You didn't know that? Really? In 2009, GM went bankrupt. You don't remember that? And when they went bankrupt, the government bailed them out with billions of dollars. Oh, I'm sorry. Maybe you're a little too young to understand that. But yeah, the GM got bailed out by the U.S. government. The government basically became GM's partner, hence why it's all EV. But let me talk about some of the reasons why I hate this initiative. Okay, first off, the whole push for EV is it's clean, right? It's better for the environment. It's better for the environment, like less smog, less pollution. That Chris Nagy drives that V8, that bi-turbo V8, that thing's just a smog monster. It puts out so much pollution in the atmosphere. Oh my God, he should be slayed. Yeah, well, we just got done with Good Friday. Let's not go too far down that. But let's talk about another thing. Have any of you that think that's true, looked at how they make lithium batteries and what that does to the environment? Have any of you looked at what happens when an EV battery is all used up and they need to replace it and how they dispose of that battery? Has anyone looked at how all these electric charging stations actually get their electric? Ooh, now that's a good topic. How do you think all those EV charging stations are able to provide the power for those EV cars that everybody is supposed to be driving? Actually, as per the Environmental Protection Agency, 67% of all new vehicles must be EVs by 2032. Okay. And right now, just let's do the math. 5.8% of cars are EVs, and they want 67% in less than 10 years. So let me give you some news flash. Lithium, okay, that stuff that they need to make batteries, is probably one of the harshest things for the environment when they mine it, and also the disposal of it. Well, they haven't quite figured that out yet. They don't know how to get rid of it. It's kind of like, when they create nuclear reactors or nuclear bombs, like, the stuff that comes out of it, like, well, I don't know. Anyone know how to get rid of this? Nope. Just put it in barrels. We'll just store it. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Yeah, until Chernobyl happens, but we won't go there. But the energy needed to supply the electric at those stations does everybody really think that comes from the windmills and the solar farms? Maybe a small amount, maybe like 1-2% of it. No, it comes from burning fossil fuels and coal. Look it up. I don't make this stuff up, folks. I actually do some research, unlike a lot of the TikTok followers that don't do any research at all, that just watch the news and say, oh, that's the gospel. Nope, do the research. Look at it. Because you'll find something that maybe you won't like. But the second thing you got to really ask yourself, and this is, I think, the bigger part of the thing that you really need to ask yourself. So if the Environmental Protection Agency, supposedly, is going to get all the new cars to be 67% of all new vehicles sold, do you really think we have the electrical grid that can support that? So if everybody's charging their cars, can the grid support that? And in less than 10 years, can they get the grid up to the point where they could support that? Now, remember, there's 5.8% of all the 13.8 million cars out there that are EVs. And do you remember last summer in California? Remember the blackouts? You remember them limiting the amount of the amount you could charge your car? They did. There was hours you could charge your car. So my video that got all that hate was about control. I can roll up to the gas station. I can put gas in. And I also did watch the movie from back in the 80s called Mad Max. And you remember he was siphoning gas out of the ground from the tanks? There's a way. And then people were like, well, your car can be shut off that has a computer in it. You can dissect the computer. But an electric car, see, we just got done with the blizzard here in Buffalo, and people that had electric cars, maybe not so good. Okay, I'm not saying anyone was good during the blizzard, because it didn't matter if you had a gas or electric, you were stuck. But in an electric car, well, you got other issues to worry about. When the battery goes dead, yep, you freeze. And lots of people did. And it's not just because of the electric cars, because people froze in gas-powered cars too. But I'm just making the point. Like, if we're really going to push an initiative to this, 67% from 5.8. I'm sorry, but the math doesn't make sense. Steven, do you have anything to say on that?
I don't know. I mean, from what I'm hearing, this is not going to be your next G-Wagon, the new electric one. Is that what you're saying?
They are not doing that. Are they really? Shame on them.
Oh, yeah.
Shame on them.
Oh, it's coming.
Well, they have to, because, that they got to follow suit with what everybody else is saying.
Look at that thing.
It's ugly. It's ugly.
No, it's crazy. I mean, you look at how the batteries are, the lithium's mined, and most of it comes from the Congo, and everybody knows the slave labor that's put on there, and some of these other countries. Nobody knows how we're going to dispose of any of these batteries and everything. It's a nightmare, and using it as an environmental, it's just so dirty, and it's politics, and it's what's disgusting about all of it. And that's why we do the show, though, because you're not going to hear this stuff on CNN and MSNBC and all these news channels. They're just going to follow the agenda. And so we try and bring you guys, a mixture of, what's going on with money and the markets. And, unfortunately, money and markets are driven by the world, and the world is very, 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 very political right now. So we'll keep following it. We'll keep bringing you the news every week, and we'll keep coming up with solutions on how to combat this stuff. And so join us at 1:00 Eastern today, so we can really get into how to control your money, control your future. And at the end of the day, if you have control, all of this stuff that's going on around us, if we're going electric, if they're shooting interest rates up because of inflation, none of it matters if you truly are in control of your money. And that's what we're here to share with you guys. So appreciate everybody that's following that hops on these things and watches, and it's a lot of fun to do them. So we appreciate you guys, and we'll see you at 1 o'clock today. I think that's a great show today, Chris.
I love it. I love it. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for letting me rant and rave. And, even to all my TikTok haters, thank you all, because haters need hugs too. I appreciate each and every single one of you. Thanks for joining us, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. And on that, we will see all of you at 1 o'clock today. But until then, see ya. I guess I have.